Mr. Zaldivar, now please. Please, sit down. Let's take him outside for just a moment. Mr. Ashton. Mr. Ashton, can you take that photograph? Let's go in recess for about 10 minutes.
Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. Today's true crime story is going to take a deep dive into the true crime story of Charles Bessman Okafor and how he ended up being sentenced to life and eventually the state trying to sentence him to death, but failing 3 different times, with the most recent failure being just a few days ago, where juror number 370 by name Kayla De Pena deliberately caused a mistrial after she told the judge that she discussed the details of the case with a friend, thereby causing a $200,000 spent on this sentencing of Bessman Okafor to death being rated as a mistrial, and therefore the need for the trial sentencing to happen again. If you are not familiar with that story, it's in my playlist. I just posted it about 24 hours ago. You can go back and look at it. But please do well to watch this before you go to that one, or you can watch that before you come to this one. But then there's a connection I think exists as to how come Kayla De Pena may have probably deliberately caused that mistrial. That connection hasn't been officially established, but well, relying on my instincts, I'm suspecting there could be something behind what motivated Kayla De Pena to deliberately cause that mistrial, contrary to the reasons or excuses she's given for doing so. But I digress. Let's get into the details of this particular case, which got us to where we are with Kayla De Pena. Now, Charles Bessman Okafor was seemingly an average black man living his life in the United States of America. But all that will change in May of 2012, where Bessman Okafor, in the company of some friends, decided to rob a home. This is where everything went south, because Bessman Okafor, in the company of 2 men, broke into a home in the Okoye area, which coincidentally was the home of Alex Zaldivar and his father, Raphael Zaldivar, and tried to rob them. Now, when they got to this home, Raphael Zaldivar wasn't around, but then his son, his 19-year-old son by name Alex Zaldivar, and 2 other people by name Brianna Campos and her brother Remington Campos were actually in the home. So they invaded their home and they did what they wanted to do, and then they left. But then they were arrested later on, and as was required by the law, for them to be successfully prosecuted, witnesses needed to come forward to testify against them. To this, Alex Zaldivar and Brianna Campos and her brother Remington Campos stepped forward to be the 3 witnesses who were going to testify against Bessman Okafor and his compatriots in this crime. But it seems like this would be an open and shut case. But then unfortunately, Bessman Okafor had something else planned. What was he planning? Well, I'm not sure you can think of it, or maybe you did. But Bessman Okafor was actually planning to ensure that come the D-Day in September of the same year, there wouldn't be any witnesses to be able to testify against him and his criminal compatriots. So, as was expected of a criminal mastermind, Bessman Okafor started making moves to ensure that these witnesses would not exist by the date of the trial. Now, to ensure this, Okafor's accomplices were arrested by the cops, and it was expected that everything was going to play out the way the prosecutors and the law were expecting it would go. But then the mastermind, Bessman Okafor, was also scheming from wherever he was. Because just 24 hours before the whole trial would start, these witnesses were attacked and they were fatally shot. As it would turn out, two of the witnesses, Brianna Campos and her brother, survived, although the people who did this thought that they had succeeded in unaliving them, but they survived. But unfortunately, Alex Zaldivar passed on. Now, this got the ball rolling and it escalated the whole case because it had moved from a case of a home invasion to now a case of premeditated murder and also an attempt to commit murder. So fast forward on this, as it would play out, Bessman Okafor was found guilty and sentenced to life because when the two Campos siblings survived, they also testified against Bessman Okafor. And based on that, Bessman Okafor was sentenced to life. So that would have seemed like a just sentence for the crimes of Bessman Okafor, but that would be the case only if it was the home invasion and maybe a form of physical altercation against the witnesses. But to the extent that Alex Zaldivar had passed on as a result of the scheming of Bessman Charles Okafor, then it meant that although the other siblings had testified against him in the home invasion and what he did to them, and he was actually sentenced to life, it wasn't enough. He had to be tried for the unaliving of Alex Zaldivar. And that is what triggered the need for the state to go for the ultimate, which is the death sentence. Now, requiring the death sentence was not easy because you need the jury to actually help you in being successfully able to get that sentence passed. So in September of that year, the jury had a recommended plea that the death penalty should pass. But then the vote was 11-1, in which case it was left to the judge who ultimately decided Bessman Okafor's case. And he was then sentenced to death. Fast forward, so that was the first death sentence. Fast forward, it was overturned by the Supreme Court and they tried again. This time around, a jury has also led to a mistrial of this resentencing to death of Bessman Okafor. So I started doing my analysis, linking the facts of the case in Alex Zaldivar being unalived as a witness and what was done to the Campos siblings who were co-witnesses with Alex Zaldivar, all at the hands of the scheming of Bessman Okafor. It started making me connect the dots and asking myself, is there a possibility that maybe Bessman Okafor, some way, somehow, or maybe his accomplices, some way, somehow, found a way to get to this juror, Kayla De Pena? Because why then would she have done all these jury work just so she would cause a mistrial and give these excuses? In as much as the excuse about the financial bit makes a bit of sense, I think that the possible reason of a threat being issued against her makes more sense as a motivational factor to deliberately cause a mistrial. I don't know about you, but when I delve deep into what Bessman Okafor was ready to do and actually saw through in getting done for people who were ready to testify against him, I started suspecting that maybe this case of Kayla De Pena should be looked into more deeply because it could be a possible case of jury tampering. I don't know, but that is what I'm suspecting, that it could be a possible case of jury tampering. What do you think about that? This is a guy who, just to get off the charge and beat the case, was ready to unalive 3 witnesses. And even in plotting the scheme to unalive them, he involved his girlfriend at the time, who was actually carrying his baby. That is how tenacious and unrelenting and dedicated and calculated Okafor actually is. And to that regard, although someone would say he's in prison, I'm sure we all know that people in prison still have ways of getting things done outside of the prison. It might not even come from him deliberately or directly if it has to do with the jury tampering, but maybe he may have some friends or associates. But all I'm saying is, I think there's a high probability that there's a possible case of jury tampering here. I don't know if investigators are looking at it on the silent side, because I don't think it's far-fetched to start suspecting that, especially given the history of what Bessman Okafor was ready to do to Alex Zaldivar and the 2 siblings who were ready to testify against him. As it stands now, the father of Alex Zaldivar, Rafael Zaldivar, is really outraged. He has been outraged since the inception of the case in 2012, and he has pursued this case for the past 12 years to date. And I tip my hats off to him. He's really standing for his son as a father, standing for his honor, standing for his memory, and fighting for justice all over, including on social media. And I think that is the right thing to do. But again, linking this case to what happened during the trial or the resentencing to death of Bessman Okafor, and the fact that conveniently Juror 370 by name Kayla De Pena caused a mistrial, I think that there could be more to it. Who stands to gain from that mistrial? Definitely it's not Kayla De Pena, especially when other jurors are on record testifying against her that she actually told them that she's going to cause a mistrial. That should tell you that this lady is not doing this for herself. She's not doing this for herself. I think something else was pushing her other than the excuses she's given. That's my opinion. If you agree with me, let me know in the comment section. If you don't agree, let me know. If there's a different angle I'm not looking at, let me know too. But I'm suspecting that her excuses are not what it is. Now, on the demise of Alex Zaldivar, his father, Rafael Zaldivar, who has been pursuing the case for the past 12 years, said at the initial sentencing of Bessman Okafor that it still cannot bring him closure. And I understand, because like I've been saying, it doesn't bring back the life that has been lost. So sometimes it seems a bit difficult and unfair to the family of the victims. My heart goes out to Rafael Zaldivar and all the loved ones of Alex Zaldivar, and I'm hoping that having to go through another resentencing due to the actions of Kayla De Pena as a juror, they will be able to find the strength to do so. Please go to the comment section, just type RIP Alex Zaldivar, and let's share some love to the family and loved ones of this person. Thank you for watching the video. Watch other videos and let me know your feedback. I'll catch you on the next one.